Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I'm your co-host Cicely.
I'm your host Hayden.
Today we're talking about the movie Smile. Came out in 2022, rated R, an hour and 55 minutes long. Got a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. After witnessing a bizarre, traumatic incident involving a patient, a psychiatrist becomes increasingly convinced she is being threatened by an uncanny entity.
Go ahead and read the next question.
Answer for the last question. What is the name of the main character who studies witchcraft in the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Answer, Willow Rosenberg.
If you knew that, good job. If not, better luck next time.
Yeah. So I lied, I have seen this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
I actually really liked it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to watch, just like not a hard watch, physically hard to keep your eyes on the screen because I'm scared.
Yeah, it's
like it's creepy.
It's a creepy movie. I don't think that I was expecting to quite like it as much as I did. I don't think, but it was definitely an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
So, let's get into this. It was definitely an unexpected opening.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting for the movie to immediately start looking at like a dead body
Yeah.
of a woman who killed herself.
Just get right into it.
Like this is one of those starts to the movie where it's like we're going 0 to 100 right now, and kind of made that scene a little worse by showing that there was a little kid there looking at the dead body. Obviously we didn't know who this kid was at this point, but it's like any kid that sees a dead body like that is not particularly great. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Then I just wanted to say that there's like a clear and heavy focus on mental illness or mental health in this movie. Which, before we go any further, if it's you gotta pay attention to your own mental health. This movie kind of opens your eyes to that. So
also makes me question if I'm crazy.
Here at Slasher Siblings podcast, we care about your mental
We
health.
care about mental health. Trust.
But there was a big play on her feeling alone in this movie. And anybody out there should know that they're never really alone. Period.
Because you got the Slasher Sibs.
That's right.
Hit us up via Facebook Messenger.
But honestly, there's always someone like within your family that has to be willing to help. Yeah. Unless it's your brother, then don't count on it. I'm just kidding. What are you talking about?
I'm JK LOLing.
No one's ever truly alone, so never. There's always a better option too. There's always an alternative, is what I'll say. We won't get into details, but you know what I'm talking about.
We got you.
Continue on with the episode. The girl, I forget her name. The PhD candidate. Do you remember her name?
No, I can't remember any names.
Well, she says, Laura. Laura says that she sees something. Which, with this movie is already, like, focused on, mental health, so it could be, like, you're thinking, like, hey, maybe, maybe it's nothing, it's just, her going crazy, and then she's like, I'm not going crazy, I'm a PhD candidate, and, like, I watched someone kill themselves, and now,
now we're here.
Now we're here. And we find out rather quickly just how true that is, from a standpoint of we as the viewer probably didn't really believe her too much, but the chick, Rose, who's the main character in this movie, definitely didn't believe her until seconds later. She kills herself in a pretty brutal way. She freaked out because she saw the entity, I guess you could just call it. And she knocked over a vase, and she ends up picking up a piece of the vase, starting at her left jaw bone,
left
and just
cheekbone.
Yeah, I guess the cheekbone, but like back where the jaw connects. She just slices straight across and just slices her own throat open in a pretty brutal way to kill yourself. And I mean, as far as trauma goes, that was a pretty effective way to traumatize someone.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the hammer to the face that got Laura possessed is pretty damn brutal too. But to watch someone just slice, they're almost making a Joker grin across their throat. Like, disgusting. That's insane.
Crazy.
And like the effects for that were really good too. It looked like she was actually like slicing her face open.
They did a good job in that department.
Then shortly after this, the detectives show up to interview Rose. I just want to say that the cop is a dick.
Oh yeah.
What the hell was his problem? He knows that, she just watched someone kill herself.
He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. He's just acting like a dick for no reason. Just pretty annoying. But it's very clear that she's like having a rough time with everything. From the outside, from like Trevor, by the way, is A-Train and the Boys, which was kind of cool. I didn't realize he was in the movie till
I didn't either, because I watched this a while ago, and then I watched The Boys.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't realize when I first watched it, yeah.
But from looking at the outside of this situation, from like Trevor's point of view, I get, him not wanting to believe it because, spirits, whatever. But it's like, it's very clear that she's having a rough time with everything.
Yeah.
Coming to terms with Laura killing herself. And it's not exactly an easy situation. That's some pretty heavy trauma that you just witnessed. And especially, that's the way that the spirit or entity, whatever, passes the pattern along and stuff. And then shortly after, we quickly realize that her sister is a handful, to say the least. She was very much acting high and mighty. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, being a parent isn't easy, and, I'm learning that myself, but, like, she's acting like, I think she said she hired a nanny, right? Didn't she mention hiring a nanny? But then she is saying how she's the one taking care of her kids 24/7. You hired a nanny to live at your house.
Yeah.
But how are you you're paying her to sit there and watch you, or
watch you? Yeah, do everything.
Like,
come on.
There's no, and she's saying that like she has to do everything and run around and take them to 500 different places and feed them and bathe them and all this other stuff. And it's like, there's probably at some point of the day where you don't look at your kids at all because you paid for a nanny and she's gonna do her job,
right?
Right. I don't know. She just was saying how tired she was all the time, and it's like,
girl,
your sister's working 80-hour weeks.
Yeah.
Like, just constantly at the psych ward. Like, I can't even
That's gotta be
imagine.
hard.
Yeah, like I can't even imagine being a doctor for, mental health
Yeah.
issues, and how like draining that is.
No.
Like watching people go crazy and stuff.
Watching people tweak.
Yeah, that has to be so like
A professional tweak watcher.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's like it has to be mentally draining watching people do this and like trying to keep them from hurting themselves and stuff. And
you know what
keeping
type of job they should have?
Huh.
Pet sitter.
Yeah, you kind of got to be crazy for that one. But keeping all like this information about like your, I don't know, 15 different patients in your head, and like you don't want to go to someone's room and like try to help them in the wrong way because you're thinking of your last patient and stuff, so you have to like keep it all straight in your head. Like that just sounds exhausting. So she should be a little more considerate, I think, but clearly that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But shortly after this, we find out that there's some sort of history with Joel.
Mm-hmm.
There was like kind of like an awkward like back and forth between Joel and Rose. And at that moment, it's like, okay, well, what the hell's going on between them? And then the one nurse was like, she's engaged, right? And I was like, they were together.
Yeah.
And something happened. This is weird. This is awkward. And I thought that it was strange that, at first Joel like waved to her when he was just a cop in the movie. I thought that was weird that he like went out of his way to wave to her, but I didn't think anything of it because I thought it was just a cop being nice. But then you realize that, no, it's not a cop being nice, it's because they were together.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well.
Oh.
That scene makes a little more
Okay.
sense. I thought that she just, like, kind of looked away because she was, like, traumatized. And it's like, no, she doesn't want to talk to him.
Period.
But then we see that Carl was smiling in his room, which was creepy. She just walked past the doorway and he's sitting on his bed smiling at her.
Uh-huh. No thanks.
No, that's crazy.
That's when you
Yeah, that's really weird.
drop an elbow.
And he got up and was being aggressive with her, and I guess that didn't actually happen. He was sleeping. That sucks for
That
him.
sucks.
Like she saw him doing something weird, and then he actually wasn't him. And she actually ended up getting a paid week off because she needed it, number one.
Mm-hmm.
But also from her boss's perspective, it's like she's going crazy from...
She's losing her cool.
Yeah, exactly. So he was trying to do the right thing. And then she gets home for the paid week off, and there's things happening that are classic signs of haunting. Like the alarm goes off, the doors open, things are left in weird places. But I can't say I was expecting this type of haunting. This is definitely different and unique. That not only the entity is like passing on person to person, no matter the distance, but it's like the entity is causing traumatic deaths for people to pass itself on.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's insane. That basically makes it like
never ending.
No, yeah, never ending. Like how do you end something like that?
Yeah, what do you do to stop that?
I mean, yes, he the one guy killed somebody, and that was, his way of living or whatever, but like the pattern continued because someone else was traumatized. So how exactly does the pattern stop? I don't think it really does, as we might see by the end of the movie. But the alarm company, they called the house. I think this is the first horror movie then an alarm goes off and the alarm company calls.
Yeah.
Because in most movies, it goes off for forever.
No one calls.
And no one calls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no company's like,
point.
hey, are you okay? And this is the first horror movie that the alarm company had called. We find out that it was actually the entity talking on the phone. But the real company actually calls the house. And it was definitely really cool to see a horror movie that actually did that for once. Because I know that if this alarm goes off for like just even 1 second too long, they're calling my phone to ask if I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm fine,
I'm good.
thank you. Like, that was me.
That was just me in my house living.
I accidentally set it off myself. Like, there was one time I turned the alarm off here, or I thought I did, and I like walked away because it was quiet. You know?
Sometimes you can't.
Sometimes
tell if
you
it
don't.
shuts off.
Yeah. So I like I forget. I don't even remember what I was doing, but like it was quiet and it was still going off. But then the sirens started going off.
Oh no!
And I'm like, holy shit! And I like ran to the code thing, and I put the code in, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? Because I guess I didn't hit the buttons right, and they called me, and I was like, yeah, that was me. I just didn't know I didn't shut it off.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't making noise.
I sometimes forget how loud that can be, because
Yeah.
when I come in for the past 25 years, I'm like hitting it, turning it off. But I think I accidentally did that like 2 times, and I was like, holy shit! I swear I live here.
There was one time I was shutting it off, and I put the code in, and it was the right code, but it wasn't turning it off. I put it in again, didn't shut it off. I put it in again a 3rd time, didn't shut it off, and I'm like,
what the hell?
What the hell's going on? They called me, and I was on the phone. I'm like, I'm putting the code in, but it's not turning off. I don't know what to do. And they're like, okay, well, how about you put one number in and wait like 2 seconds in between? And I went, and I put the numbers in really, really slow, and it still didn't shut off. And I did it one more time, like extra slow, and I was like, and it shut off. I was like, damn, what the hell just happened? You heard that, right? Like, you heard me putting
You heard this.
I'm not crazy. She's like, no, sometimes the buttons just stick or it doesn't register or something.
It's so annoying.
We've had this alarm for 15 years, 20 years, something like that, and it's never done this.
It's
Only
getting
this time
old.
I had to put it 7 times. Anyway.
Sorry, guys.
This is a complete...
We got a little off topic.
Yeah, off topic. So... This is the moment that I'm sure upsetted you that the cat was gone.
As always.
It just disappeared.
Trigger.
Yeah, and at first I thought like it got out that open door that the entity let it out, you know.
Yeah.
And I figured it would probably come back eventually. So she's just chilling. And she was listening to the tape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was sitting there and she heard her name whispered in the recording. And when I tell you that the ghost jumping at her scared the living shit out of me, that got me. That was a great jump scare. And usually I'm very annoyed by jump scares, but that one got me. That's kind of like that, was it Haunting at Hill House maybe at the end?
Yeah.
When she jumps into the middle of the car or whatever. I didn't see that, but I saw that clip. And when I saw that clip for the first time, it scared the shit out of me. And this jump scare gives off those vibes. She just like screams Rose in her face out of the corner of the TV.
Uh-huh.
Or well, my phone, I guess. And
my phone.
It got me. That was a good job on their part. And then she goes to see her therapist, And I felt just the whole time she wasn't really acting like a therapist. She was just like passive aggressive the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, she was kind of blaming Rose. She's like, she kind of sounded like she was saying it was like your fault.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
girl,
this doesn't sound like a real therapist.
Doesn't make sense.
She just sounds like an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, why is she acting like this? But then she has Saturday off now for the party, and she, goes to the party, brings this present, and has the kid open the present, and we find that Mustache, her cat, is in the present, dead.
I would quite literally kill somebody.
And you could tell that it was a fake cat when he pulled it out of the box, but like, that has to be from the kid's standpoint, that has to be like a super traumatizing thing that happened. But it's like, also, you're sitting across from this watching it happen. How traumatic is that for you?
Oh yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine being in that type of situation where you're, sitting there, you just lost your cat last night, and you end up finding out that it's dead in the present that you wrapped for your nephew.
Okay.
Like, that's traumatic on both sides.
I would... I don't know what I would do. I can't do that. That's not gonna happen to me.
But then she ends up freaking out because she saw the entity, and no one else can see it, and thinks she's crazy, and saw the present mishap and everything. And then she falls through the table, slices up the outside of her arms and stuff. And Trevor goes to take her home, but he doesn't believe her. It's like the one person in her life that is like supposed to believe her doesn't.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard to believe that, from the way Trevor said it, a ghost is following her around. But it's like, at this point, I'm just gonna end up believing
anybody. Says that.
I'm like, oh, you have a ghost, really? Like, how do we get rid of it then?
Yeah.
It's like,
let me Google.
let me Google it for you. And it's like, I don't even like distrust people that say they have a ghost. It's like, at this point,
it's like, oh, okay.
At this point, it probably is real.
Yeah.
We don't even know what's at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, how the fuck are we gonna doubt ghosts? We don't even know what's down there. Or actually in space either.
We don't even know space, yeah.
And honestly, I don't need to know. I don't need to know what's in that ocean. Are you more scared of space or the ocean?
I'm not scared of either.
Well, if you had to be scared of one. Which one? Okay, let me reword. Which one would you rather explore, because the other one is kind of scary?
Space, because I don't want to think that we're alone. You know what
we're
I mean?
not.
But I don't like the fact that if we were alone, that seems weird to me.
I think it's quite literally impossible that aliens don't exist. Like,
but what makes them aliens?
Any living creature that is not on planet Earth is considered an alien.
Yeah,
so tiny little micro.
We would be aliens to the other planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but like,
our definition is alien.
Right, but like, what if there's just a identical Earth?
Sometimes I think there's another Earth that has roles
star.
reversed for dogs and humans.
Yeah, maybe
like
something like
that.
that.
We're the pets on
but
another planet.
I don't like to think that how vast space is that we're the only. That's
you don't like to think that we're alone, or we're not.
It's honestly scarier than there being aliens. Thinking that we're the only planet with life in this entire.
I don't think that's physically possible. You know how many galaxies there are?
That's what I mean.
There's no fucking way there's no other life forms on any other. There's just, you cannot tell me that there's not.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, when people are like, I don't believe in aliens, I'm like, you're so close-minded. Not offensively, but for real.
Some people don't believe in aliens because they think the aliens themselves are scary. But it's
okay,
like,
period.
I'm more scared of being the only people
that's insane.
in the universe.
How would we be the only people? That's nuts.
That just seems like way scarier than the actual alien. And being alone in the universe seems scarier than going down to the bottom of the ocean and seeing Cthulhu down there.
Or whatever, the Kraken down there.
Or the Kraken or
I don't
something.
need to see that shit.
No.
They can stay down there. Way, way, way down there.
Off topic again.
Sorry, guys. We'll start a podcast just talking about space.
Tune into our conspiracy theory podcast.
We should. I could talk about that all day.
I honestly probably could too. We'd probably have like 6-hour episodes of
just sit here.
Random...
Today we're talking about Helen Keller.
She flew a plane.
Is she real?
Is she real? Did she fly the plane?
Do you think she's real? Hey, I would be down to do that.
I would too. Anyway, well, that would be if there were any interest in that. Like,
guys, drop a comment below if you're listening. Do you want to hear our thoughts on conspiracies? We can call it
conspiracy siblings.
Conspiracies.
That's stupid. Anyway, we're 26 minutes in and we're barely halfway done.
Conspiracy bros.
Conspiracy bros. Trevor doesn't believe her. The only person in her life that's really supposed to believe everything. And if anybody came up to me and was like, hey, this entity's following me, how do we get rid of it? It's not even like, are you sure? Is this real? Are you sure? It's like, no, how do we get rid of it?
Yeah.
I got salt. I don't know Latin, but we can try an exorcism.
Like,
what do we do?
I googled some stuff.
Let's go to the grocery store.
Let's run to Walmart real quick. They're still open. They close at 11.
So the next scene was pretty creepy. It was her going to bed, and Trevor's on the couch, and she's laying there, and her mom is in the bathroom, who killed herself in the beginning of the movie.
Crazy.
When she was 10 years old.
Crazy.
I don't know if I saw... If this shit was happening to me, yeah, if this shit was happening to me,
I'd say, oh.
And I just saw the dead someone who I know is dead come out of the bathroom after being tortured for 2 days. I'd be acting just as crazy as she is. I understand her completely.
Period.
So she decides to go visit Munoz or whatever their name was.
Yeah.
Gabriel's wife. She went to visit her and try to get information about what he was seeing and like what he tried to do before his death and stuff. And there was a moment that I kind of want to talk about where they showed his face after beating himself with the hammer. That was pretty gross.
Very gross.
His tongue was hanging out, and you could see his jaw and his teeth. And
gross.
Yeah, it was weird. It was cool.
Blech.
It was cool effects, though.
Yeah, it was.
But then she goes into Gabriel's room, and just the paintings were very creepy all around the room of the entity's face. Up until this point, we didn't see its true face, and to see like a painting of like all black with a smile was real creepy. Mm-hmm. But the part that I really wanted to talk about is how she started to crack a little bit after seeing all these paintings, and she's like, "Please, just tell me the name. What's the name?" And she kicks her out, and it was just crazy to me that seeing something like a painting of this, thing would set her off so easily. But you gotta think as well, she's been tortured for 3 days so far. This is the third day of being tortured by this creature. Barely sleeping, and being chased around by this thing, and it has to weigh a ton on your mind, you know. But then she goes to see Joel and is like, can you do me a favor? We need to do a lot of research. And they did research and everything. And he starts to notice a little bit of a pattern. And it's the first time in the movie where we're like, okay, well, we got this thing figured out. Like, we know, it has a pattern. We can, surely we can jump out of it.
Yeah,
right?
True.
And it's also kind of, in a way, you can see the inspiration for the Final Destination type thing, how the pattern of death keeps happening or whatever. But then Rose goes home, and the therapist was called by her husband, and they had a big fight, and she storms out and goes and sees Holly. Her and Holly also have a fight, saying that you traumatized Jackson by putting your dead cat in the box, and I can't have you around with you acting like this. Please go away. But then Holly comes back out of the door while she's freaking out in her car, and she knocks on the window, and the ghost was actually Holly, and that scared the crap out of me too.
Oh, yeah.
You see Holly's, torso there in, her pink sweater or whatever. And she knocks on the window, and as soon as she looks up, her face just pops out of the top of the screen. Jeez. the jump scares kept coming in this movie when you least expect it.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing really well. They were doing really well with that. Especially to me. I don't usually get scared by jump scares, but these ones were getting me. But then she decides to go see the survivor, the guy who wasn't he saw someone kill himself, but then he broke the pattern, and he ends up telling her that she has to murder somebody, and in front of somebody she has to murder somebody instead of killing themselves, so that the next person is traumatized. And the pattern keeps going, but it skips you.
Yeah.
Which seems like a solid plan, but surely there has to be a way of actually getting
breaking
out of it.
This, yes.
Yeah. So the doctor shows up at the house, and she lets her in, kind of under false pretenses. She's like, "Hey, I need to know that you're not a danger before I call the police." Like, all right, well, get in here. We find out the doctor is actually the creature in a really creepy way. I think the doctor's smile was probably the creepiest in this movie. I think
so too.
She was really creepy. She was just sitting there, and the doctor actually called on the phone, and she answered the phone, and she heard the doctor's voice while the doctor was sitting in front of her. And I don't know what it was about that actress's smile. It was just...
That's what I do to people. If I need to creep them out. Ready? Drive past people like that?
That's a good idea. But I don't know what it was about that actress's smile that just creeped me out to no end. And way more than the others. But then Rose went to her work when she wasn't supposed to be there, and she sneaks the knife inside the hospital, which is impossible, by the way. You can't
quite literally impossible.
You can't get inside with a knife, which should have screamed alarm bells or whatever. But she went inside, and she went in to see Carl, and she starts stabbing Carl, and it just didn't... It seemed like out of character for me. Like, for her.
Yeah.
To me. Because it didn't seem like she would just so willingly go and murder somebody,
Period.
But then we find out when her boss rips his face off that it's actually a dream. That has to be like one of the most fucked up dreams ever.
Oh yeah.
Like, imagine having that dream yourself. Like,
no thanks.
That's weird.
No thanks.
That's terrible.
I'd shit my pants.
Right. But then she wants to get away from everyone so that she can't murder somebody or cause, kill herself and cause trauma to the next person. So she goes actually to her old childhood home, where her mom killed herself and stuff.
Yeah.
And then that's when we see what actually happens with her mom. We see that Rose technically had a chance to save her, but didn't. She just ran away. Which, when she explained, she was talking to the entity who was disguised as her mom. And I get it. Like, in a 10-year-old's mind, she was scared shitless, so she just ran and hid. So I get it. But she's felt guilty the entire movie that she thinks she killed her mom. It's like, well, she killed herself. Even if she said, go get help and you just ran and hid. You're 10. Kind of hard to process in that moment. So that's
especially for that age.
Exactly. But then Rose starts getting attacked by the entity. And she breaks her arm and sets the entity on fire. And I was wondering if that was actually the creature, or was it Joel, or was it somebody else, like her sister or something? But then, she sets the creature on fire, and she leaves, and the house is being burnt down. And, she won. She beat the creature, so she starts, driving back to see Joel and explain to him, like, hey, I'm sorry. This has been really crazy. Can I please just take a nap here?
Me.
And just sit there, stay with me and watch me, because I am literally going insane right now. This was also the moment that we find out that she didn't actually beat the creature. This was all in her head. The creature was playing her for a fool.
Playing her for a fool.
And that this was just a way to kill time for Joel to show up and cause this whole pattern to continue. So she runs back in the house. She's taken over in a really disturbing and creepy way, where the entity rips its skin off and just like jumps down her throat. Was that not disturbing?
I said I'm gonna have nightmares.
And then Joel comes in the house to try and help her, and we end up getting a continuation of the pattern because Rose has set herself on fire right in front of Joel. And now he's traumatized. So great. The pattern didn't end. But there's also a second movie coming out, so, that makes sense. You don't want to end the movie if you're going to make a sequel. Or end the pattern if you're going to make a sequel. But it's not too often in horror movies that the main, hero of the movie, I guess you could say, dies. Which Rose died, so unfortunately. I thought she was a good character, though.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I would probably give it an 8.
Okay.
7.5 to 8.
I give it a 7.
I enjoyed the movie. It was better than I thought it was going to be. But, there was some of the CGI in the movie was, clear CGI.
Yeah.
There were a few moments in there that you could tell that it was fake. But it was a very kind of unique entity, pattern type thing. And there were clearly a lot of influences from a bunch of different movies for this. I think the movie is called It Follows. It's the same premise, and it came out before this movie. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. Maybe not soon, but I'd watch it again. Well, you said 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a
bad
bad movie.
It's not my favorite.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the middle.
So, I got some fear facts here.
Okay.
And for the first one, actors showed up at various baseball games and just smiled at the camera. They were paid to go to different baseball games and just start smiling into the camera, where, obvious people around them were concerned.
Great marketing, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic marketing.
They did a really good job with
Absolutely.
With that.
And there was actually even somebody who, one of the main characters, I forget which one, maybe it was Laura, but they went to the Today Show and stood in the crowd and smiled into the camera on the Today Show. That's a pretty good
effort.
That's a good effort, yeah, but that's a pretty good marketing scheme there.
Yeah.
On a talk show, I think, whatever the show is, where like a ton of people watch it. They're gonna wonder what the hell's going on, and like look up why was this lady smiling on Today's Show?
What is wrong with this bitch?
Yeah. And for the second one, the smiles are natural.
Oh.
They're not altered in any way using CGI. The director made the point of saying, I do not want any smiles digitally enhanced. I want them to be as real and practical as possible. So each smile you see in the movie is a true smile, which makes it a lot creepier. So originally, it was supposed to be titled Something's Wrong with Rose before settling on Smile. Which is just kind of a cool little factoid.
Factoid?
After Rose saw Laura kill herself, in the next scene where she's getting coffee, her mug has a smile on it. Which is our first foreshadowing to what's gonna go down. And then throughout the movie, we see Trevor's contact picture and the text messages on the phone. Earlier in the movie, it's a normal picture. But then later in the movie, when he texts her saying, we need to talk, are you home? The picture changes to Trevor just having a big grin on his face.
That's so weird.
Right? And it's kind of cool that they went
that deep
to change, the contact picture in her phone to him smiling. Which is also, once again, great effort and attention to detail. So yeah, that was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it, and it's on Prime and Paramount Plus and MGM Plus, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, I watched it on Prime.
Yeah, me too. So if you want to check it out, go ahead.
Do that.
Yeah, do that.
Do that.
And sis, tell them what our next movie is.
The next movie is Barbarian.
I have not seen this yet. I know you have, right?
I've definitely seen it.
Yeah, so I haven't seen this movie yet, and I've been wanting to also see this, so this will be a pretty cool watch. So
I think a lot of people like this movie. I like this movie. So I think you'll like it.
Okay, cool. So go ahead and read...
Change your mind about Airbnbs, though.
Go ahead and read the next question.
Michael Myers' mask is supposedly based off what famous actor?
Oh, you should know this one just based off of the fear facts from... Before.
Long ago
when we did
Halloween.
It was one of the fear facts, so... If you didn't know this one, you weren't paying attention.
Come on, class!
But
pay attention, off your phones!
Yeah, so, we'll catch you next week with Barbarian then.
Catch you later!